Hey guys, Jack, and welcome back, and congratulations to Arsenal for being top of Christmas. It was quite an exciting game, and a few big results came up in the Premier League. Let's jump into it. As you can tell from the thumbnail, it was very much a defensive masterclass for the two sides. Arsenal came out of the blocks quicker, and they looked to capitalise, so they were pressing Liverpool a lot more, despite being at Anfield, and they were really getting a lot of good chances. They definitely had the majority of the ball in the first probably 15, 20 minutes. But then, like before long, Gabriel with a really good header, and he was just onside, and it was one of those calls where if there wasn't VAR, like it's similar to what they do in the MLS, where if it's not clear and obvious, they'll give the benefit of the doubt to the call on the field, and I think that was right in the end. And since after that point, like Liverpool realised that they were goal down, so they had to kind of come back from behind, and they were really doing a lot to pressure Arsenal. And like what they were doing really well, especially with Trent and Van Dijk, they were switching at diagonal passes to the likes of mostly Saliba, but Luis Diaz on a couple of occasions. And it was around the 30th minute mark where one of those crossfield passes worked out, went over the top to Zinchenko, who after Arsenal were up for, I think they were putting pressure on the Liverpool backline, and Zinchenko didn't read the flight of the ball, and Salah took it down really well. But I think the goal could have been preventable if Zinchenko was a bit more tuned in with Salah. He allowed him to cut back onto his left foot, and there was no chance for Daravaya in the goal. He absolutely fired it top corner near post. There wasn't a chance. And after that point, towards the end of the first half, it was kind of back and forth. Obviously, we saw what happened with Simicast colliding with Jurgen Klopp and fracturing his collarbone. So I hope he feels well soon. But Joe Gomez really added a different threat to that right hand side. Ben White just didn't really kind of focus on him, and Martin Odegaard wasn't really tracking back, same as Saka. But then in the second half, it definitely died down, and I think it was more of Arsenal realising that they were away, and with Liverpool attacking the Kop, they needed to shore up shop, and the likes of Zinchenko improved a bit more. And like I said, I think Gabriel and Saliba had a brilliant game, and even on our Liverpool side, Van Dijk and especially Konate were unbelievable. Like both sets of the central defenders were really in top form today, and I just was so surprised how well they did. I think Konate was really good at reading plays because Arsenal were doing really well were able to break through the midfield. Endo made a couple of good interceptions, but he kept being bypassed a couple of times, and I think that yellow card early on really affected him in trying to commit. I mean, like Odegaard and Declan Rice were doing really well on possession. I know Odegaard was caught one at a times, and Liverpool didn't capitalise, but that just kind of happens sometimes. But in the few times they got through, like Saka was doing really well again. On the right hand side, Martinelli wasn't as effective, but he's being double teamed by Szoboszlai and Alexander-Arnold, so he was never really left behind. But overall, it was a really exciting game, really intriguing. And what this match really said to me was that Liverpool really need to look for a midfield reinforcement. I know they've lost Joel Matip and they're looking at centre backs, but I think their Kwanzaa and Konate would work really well. And like I understand they need to kind of find someone, and maybe even potentially a left back or even call someone back, but they definitely need more of another destroyer in the midfield. Curtis Jones didn't have his best game. Szoboszlai and Endo weren't the greatest at all either, but they were fine. Harvey Elliott added a bit of energy to the midfield, but at that stage, Arsenal were doing really well to shut up shop. On Arsenal's case, they have a couple of game changers. Bukayo Saka was really threatening down at right hand side, and I think on another day he could have probably gotten a goal. Odegaard really did well linking with him, and yeah, I think going off the two teams, I think Arsenal are in the better position for this. In terms of challenging for this title, obviously we see Man City would probably come back into form once Haaland and De Bruyne are back. Aston Villa will fall off, but with this three team tie, I think Arsenal are in a really good position to fight till the end. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens. For my man of the match, I couldn't read the side between the two, and you'll see him in the thumbnail. It was Saliba and Konate. I just thought the two of them were unbelievable, and if they can both stay fit for the entire season, there's no doubt that they'll be crucial in their title charges. So that's it for this game. Let's quickly run through the rest of these. First up, Crystal Palace played Brighton in a 1-1 draw in the A23 derby, and Crystal Palace did really well against Brighton's high possession side. What they really did well was control themselves and look to counter lose play, and that's what happened. Brighton were playing out from the back. They lost possession, and Jordan Ayew got on the end of a very scrappy goal, but it was good work off the ball for them. Brighton did get a goal back, but while they had a lot of chances, they didn't really threaten as much, and I think that's just credit to Crystal Palace's defending and goalkeeping. It was just really solid overall. Next up was Aston Villa, and Sheffield United definitely caused them issues. I was quite surprised, seeing the reports and reading back about it. But Sheffield United, while they did have to defend at times, especially in the first half, they did really well in kind of stopping them. And I know they had the goal disallowed for a foul on Fotheringham, and as a goalkeeper myself, I have to agree. But really, they were very fortunate VAR came in to bring it back, because it was very soft, in all honesty. But credit to Sheffield United, and I was really glad to see Cameron Archer score for against his former club. He was a very talented striker, and I really believed that he was going to do something for Aston Villa, especially with Danny Ings gone. But Emery preferred John Duran, Ollie Watkins, and they got in the end. Villa got to go back courtesy of Zaniolo. I think it was poor defending in the end, but fair juice to him for again that and staying in third. Next was a shocker, honestly. Man United versus West Ham, and West Ham weren't particularly good in this game. They had a couple of chances, obviously, but again, it was very much United not creating enough and being sloppy in the back. Willie Kamwala making his debut at 19, the young French youth international, and from what I've heard, he did really well considering it was his first match. And I just it's really nice to see young players get chances with United, but the fact that this is happening is really bad, and I understand Ten Hag is under a huge amount of pressure, but he needs to kind of reassess what he wants to be as a coach. Does he want to play high possession-based football? Does he want to play transition? He just needs to figure that out. But David Moyes did really well here, and 2 good goals from Kudus and a good header by Jarrett Bowen. Just really, it's really good for them, especially at home going into the Christmas period. United fans just announced that Ineos has officially taken a minority stake in the club. I say they're just really happy to finally get that sorted, and maybe we'll see something happen in January, but FFP will be dictating that. Tottenham versus Everton ended 2-1, and Tottenham came out of the blocks flying, and Richarlison with a really good movement to get his first, and really fortunate, but really good goal worked up to from Heung-min Son. But afterwards they struggled to kind of handle Everton's press. Really, Sean Dyche has really got them drilled, and unfortunately they lost, I think, their 5-game winning streak. But they got a goal back, but they were very unlucky to come up and face Vicario, who from I saw had a really good game, and he's been really, really strong for them, and you saw that in the Chelsea game. But obviously he's had a couple of iffy moments in possession, but that's what happens when you play out of possession. As a goalkeeper, and like every outfield player, you'll make a mistake on the ball. But he's been immense for them, and he's really given me, and I don't know if Tottenham fans will be really pleased with me saying this, but really gives me Hugo Lloris vibes in 2013-14 when he was arguably one of the best keepers in the league. And maybe that is the case right now, but I think he is a bit better at the moment than Lloris ever was. And just it's really good to see, and I think given how Tottenham play, they really need that kind of goalkeeper, and Postecoglou has really made true business in signing him from Empoli. Next is Bournemouth versus Nottingham Forest. Nuno Espirito Santo started off with a loss, but they did come back into it. But Dominic Solanke with a hat trick, and he was just really solid overall. Really good forward play, and Bournemouth keep up the superb form once again. And even though they scored 3 goals, it was very much Nottingham Forest defending very badly and not really giving the likes of Matt Turner any chance, really. Next one's a really big shock for me. I mean, Fulham definitely went in the first half the better side. They were getting a lot of chances, but they just weren't converting them. James Trafford made a couple of good saves, but Burnley's defence weren't particularly great in the first half, and I don't know what happened in the second half, but they just kind of came back into it, and it was lovely finishes, especially from the young French winger Olicott, I think it's something like that. But he just did really well, and then obviously they got the second goal, and that kind of secured them the 3 points, and I think it's their first away win. That's huge for them, and helps them I think they pushed them off the bottom of the table, but fair dues to them. And definitely another big result was Luton versus Newcastle. Newcastle definitely looked tired, but I think Luton Town at Kenilworth Road, there's just something about them, and they just couldn't handle like Luton just could just dominate Newcastle. They looked tired, and Andros Townsend getting a goal against the former club, but Luton deserved the win. And I know Eddie Howe's probably kicking himself for what's happened, and the fixture congestion at this period of the season isn't great, but hopefully they can just get a break now in the next couple of weeks, having been knocked out of Europe. But huge win for Luton Town, and I'm just really happy to see that. And last up was Wolves versus Chelsea. Chelsea, they had the issue where they weren't converting their chances, and if you saw the highlights, Raheem Sterling just did horribly. It was really good system play to Jose Sa passed the ball out to the midfielder who was dispossessed, and it was the 3-on-1 with Sterling, Palmer, and I believe Jackson. And instead of playing it across to one of the two, he tried to go for it himself and hit it straight at Jose Sa. And I think that was just a sign of the game, really. Chelsea had their chances, but they just couldn't convert them. They were just making poor decisions, and Wolves were just clinical with their shots. Granted, I do have to say that the VAR call on Lamina, I believe, I think it was, or sorry, Semedo. I probably would say it was a red card, and even going back to the Liverpool match, like there was a handball there. I think it was a handball in the end, but it just wasn't called. But credit to Wolves, they finally had a bit of good luck go for them with VAR. And Chelsea must be really disappointed. Pochettino must be fuming in the dressing room at this stage. It just whenever you feel like Chelsea have kind of rescued their form, especially kind of what happened in the Carabao Cup against Newcastle, they just lost it again. And I don't know what to say. They are very patchy, and they definitely need to kind of rescue that, whether that's change the system or just kind of change the personnel a bit more. I don't know, but Pochettino really needs to find solutions here. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have a lovely Christmas. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, I hope you have a happy holiday. My preview will be going out, I believe, tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, take care.